Good morning, I'm Teresa Weekly, breaking in with the news that there will be no school in Michigan for the remainder of the school year. Governor Whitmer signed that executive order this morning, suspending school K-12 for the remainder of the year. She's getting ready right now to give us an update on that and on how the state is responding to the COVID-19 crisis in Michigan. Here's a look at that executive order saying that this was a difficult decision. Governor Whitmer said that she's a parent and she understands the challenge here in closing schools and what this will mean for parents and guardians. She says there's no video chat or homework packet that can replace the value of a highly trained, experienced teacher working with students in a classroom, but that we must continue to provide equitable educational opportunities for students during this public health crisis. She says that there will be an application for schools to utilize in order to create a localized plan, which she'll make available by April 3rd, so in the next tomorrow. District plans will need to detail how districts will provide opportunities for students to learn remotely and how schools will manage and monitor that progress. It will also provide information on how parents and guardians can learn about all of these different plans. She basically here says she knows that each district's plan is going to be different because there are different communities in each of these districts, but that a plan can include learning by any number of modes of instruction delivery, even a hybrid approach, some online, some distance learning. If the plan relies on online instruction, she says that those districts have to make sure that every student who needs access to an appropriate device will have it with the ability to connect to the internet, and students and families will not be penalized if they can't participate in that alternate learning plan. She also emphasized here that schools have to continue providing mental health care services for students to the extent that they can, and should be ready and willing to help efforts to establish disaster relief child care centers. Teachers and school employees will be paid for the rest of the school year. Student teachers will still be able to get a temporary certification, and current teachers will still be able to get their certifications renewed even if they can't meet all of the requirements due to what's happening. As far as high school seniors are concerned, there have been so many questions about what will happen with them. The governor says that they will have the opportunity to graduate this year so that they can still go on to post-secondary school if that's what they want to do. Additionally, she says all standardized tests previously scheduled for the remainder of the year, including the M-STEP and the SAT, will be canceled. As far as rescheduling those, at this point her plan is to pick a date in October for rising high school seniors to take the SAT and for other high school students to take the PSAT. All of this information has been changing here over the weeks, so she says that she'll continue to make the latest information available on the Michigan.gov website, but she is again getting ready right now to hold her morning news conference where she'll officially announce all of this information. We've been hearing a lot from students and teachers and also superintendents that we've been checking in with here over the last several days about what their plans are, because this news is something that we expected might be coming based on what the governor has been saying. There was an article in Bridge magazine that had said essentially this is what was going to happen, but now the governor has made it official with this executive order. One thing that we're looking into is how many areas don't have access to the internet and what the plan might be. She alluded to the fact that there will be hybrid plans in certain areas. All of this, of course, is because of what's happening right now around the world with COVID-19. And we reached another point yesterday, 3 days in a row, where we have broken records of single-day increases in cases of COVID-19. We now have more than 9,000 in Michigan. 337 people have died in our state. We just continue to see that line going up sharply. We're waiting for that curve to flatten. That's what all these social distancing guidelines, schools being shut down, everything that the governor has put into place, that's the goal with all of that. We also expect to reach a pretty grim milestone around the world today. The projections show, the numbers show, based on the pace that we've been at, that we will reach 1 million cases today of COVID-19 around the world. as we look at more than 200,000 in the U.S. So that is the reasoning behind all of this. I can tell you we are reaching out to superintendents in West Michigan today to find out what plans are in all of these different districts for how this executive order will impact students. I know that in certain districts, students have not been doing homework or getting assignments from teachers, whereas in other districts they have continued to do some online learning and keeping up with what their curriculum is. Next week for a lot of districts we have spring break on the schedule. That will give some of these districts time, another week, to figure out exactly how they want to implement these plans now that we know what's going to happen, and communicate all of that with the parents and the teachers for how they want to move forward now that we know the rest of the school year is canceled. If you're just joining us, that is the news that we're following. We just got this release from the governor in the last 15 minutes. She signed an executive order this morning suspending face-to-face learning at K-12 schools for the rest of the semester. And again, she is at the moment getting ready to make that official with her announcement in her news conference. In addition to the school situation, she'll also go over the state's response to the COVID-19 crisis. So we're waiting for that. And while we wait for that, I can go over a little bit of, again, what she mentioned in this executive order that she signed. One of the things she said was she understands the challenge here in closing down schools permanently for the rest of the year, which is why she's setting some guidelines, she says, for remote learning and making sure that parents have the resources to continue their children's education from their homes. I know there's been some confusion at this point for what exactly schools should be doing, and districts have been waiting for this guidance from the governor before they put plans into place for how to continue the rest of the year. Without knowing if they were going to be going back into the buildings, they didn't have these long-term plans in place. So this executive order, I know, will give a lot of these superintendents the guidance that they needed to create these more long-term plans rather than just trying to send out packets for 2 weeks to get through the short-term shutdown that initially they had thought would be the case. We've already heard from principals and superintendents that they've been actually personally running out Chromebooks to families who don't have all of the technology that they need. I talked with Hudsonville's superintendent about this yesterday, and he said that that's one thing that they've been doing and trying to make sure that everyone has access to the technology they need to do this distance and online learning. I know one thing that they've been concerned about is making sure that every student gets the chance to progress, whether it's a student with special needs, someone in elementary, or those high schoolers who have those tough classes where they're getting ready to take SATs or AP exams. They'll be going over graduation plans now as well. Another superintendent I spoke with yesterday was with Jennison, and he said at that point, yesterday they were planning to have a graduation on May 28th. So we'll be continuing to follow up with these district leaders to see what the plan is now that we have this executive order from the governor. Rick Albin is standing by now. Rick, I know we've been anticipating this announcement from the governor. What are some of the other issues here that you think we'll have to look at as a consequence of this shutdown now for the rest of the year?
Well, I think there are a number of things that are going to have to be figured out. And in the release that the governor sent out, it says each district will have to come up with their own plan because it's not going to be one size fits all. And I know the districts are scrambling right now to come up with a dual pathway of distance learning by using electronic communication. People are using video chats. Obviously, a lot of school districts have devices that they put in their children's and their students' hands. If they're able to access Wi-Fi from their homes, that really helps to facilitate. But we also know that not all school districts have those devices and not all homes have Wi-Fi service available. So there will have to be a number of different opportunities for students to receive that, even if it's an old-fashioned packet of homework that has to be delivered somehow to them. But the governor's order is clear that she wants that education to continue. Now, I heard you talking about some of the contingencies for schools around the area, and one of the things, and I think people have to put this in perspective, particularly if you have a senior in high school. The most important thing, obviously, is getting education, keeping that flow of education coming. But this is also a very important moment in the life of a student to be recognized for that achievement. And I think school districts are very cognizant of trying to do something in the form of a graduation, but we don't know what that will look like because we don't know how long the circumstances that we're in now, like you, Teresa, you've been working at home every other week. I'm obviously working from home. We don't know how long this type of an order is going to stay in place. We know the governor wants it extended, and we know the legislature has some other questions about it, but all of that is part of this issue of closing the school buildings for the rest of the year. And it will fundamentally change the way the children's education process goes forward during that period of time. So I think what the governor has to discuss is the flexibility that she and the Michigan Department of Education will have to allow school districts because they can't all do it the same way, Teresa.
Absolutely, Rick. And I know one of the issues up to this point without that executive order from the governor was that not every district was doing the same thing. Like you said, some districts are using Seesaw or other online applications to continue that learning and communicate with students, whereas certain districts haven't really been doing much of anything due to free access to public education for all. They have to, as they move forward, make sure that everyone has the same access. So there have been some limitations there without the executive order. So I think now, at least, even though the plans will look different for each district, as each district has different needs, they have that, that freedom now to move forward with creating that plan, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be important. They're going to have flexibility because these school districts are being asked to gear up and mobilize to do something probably bigger than they've ever had to do, combining both education and technology. I understand that they've been in the business of education for a long time, and technology is something that has rapidly been moved into schools. But to get those two to work together without utilizing the bricks and mortar that they're so used to, it's going to be a pretty heavy learning curve. Now, I have no doubt that school districts can do it, but it's not going to be immediate. And like you say, it's not going to look the same for everybody. I know my two kids have been out of school now since the order went in place, and they've had regular contact through video chats and other ways with their teachers, but not on a daily basis. So now the question is, does this become a daily basis? Are you going to start having regular curriculum where a bunch of students are gathered in their houses all over a district, coming in on Zoom or some other video chat, and that's going to be part of the day? Or are they going to be sending out lessons that have to be sent back? It's going to look different at every place. But I think the thing that the governor will emphasize, and I think the school districts will emphasize, no matter what that plan looks like, it's got to be something that's also going to have to be reinforced at home. So for parents, it's going to be an extra step too, and that's going to be complicated by the fact that some people are being told to stay home because their job's not essential. But if you have a child, for example, who may even be in daycare because both of their parents are considered essential workers, that changes the dynamic. There are a lot of things to be considered here, and we're really just at the beginning. Although I know districts have been planning for this, we are just kind of at the very beginning of how this is going to shake out. And I would urge parents particularly to be a little bit patient because it's going to take a while to get this worked out in a way that's going to work smoothly, but I'm confident in time that will happen, Teresa.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, as you have reiterated, Rick, this is such an evolving situation, and we know that there's a lot that will change here even in the next month. I'm curious to see what happens in the fall. We keep hearing on a national level from national doctors about the concern for a second wave. So even as we get through this first wave, maybe there could be a second wave that comes. So I know that once we even get this initial plan into place, it sounds like even that could change.
Right, and that, I think, may be one of the most important points to make, because whatever planning the school districts do now, in the back of their mind, they've got to be thinking, this has to be sustainable. This has to be something that and as I stand here today, and I share everybody's hope that it doesn't have to happen, but understanding that it might have to happen, that we might be back in a situation in the fall if we see a big rise in cases, school districts may be forced to implement this same type of process in the fall. I mean, I'm not predicting this, but suggest for a moment that what if in August, in late August, if the CDC starts giving warnings again, the school districts start by doing distance learning. I mean, all that's a possibility. Possibilities we hope don't really come to bear fruit, but I think as these plans are being implemented now, that's got to be something they're thinking about. And the unexpected positive impact of this is going to be, once these plans are in place, then you have a fallback position if it becomes necessary. Again, hoping it doesn't, but they've got that if they need it in the fall, Teresa.
And we're reaching out right now, Rick, to some of these superintendents that we've heard from. Lindsay McComo has been in contact with them as well in the last couple of days as we anticipated some of this news. She joins us on the phone now. When you were talking to a couple of these superintendents, Lindsay, what did they say as we anticipated this announcement about their plan moving forward?
Well, Teresa, unfortunately, one of the big obstacles that a lot of districts will be facing, and touch base with both Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids Public Schools yesterday, is that some of their families, in Kalamazoo's case, about a third, with Grand Rapids, about a fourth or so, don't have the technology readily available nor the internet connection at home set up in order for them to then immediately start remote learning. So that's one thing. So in Grand Rapids' case, they've been trying to come up with a plan in anticipation of this. One thing they've been doing is looking at getting hotspots to families in order for them to be able to, rely on remote learning, anticipating, unfortunately, that the kids won't be returning to the classroom for the rest of the year. So one thing they're looking at is trying to get those hotspots, but the district told me yesterday that that could be about $2 million just to make sure that every family is equipped to learn like that. So that's one thing we'll certainly be working on today. I'm also going to be reaching out to Rockford Public Schools. We intend to get a plan from them. I've reached out to Zeeland and Muskegon as well, and that's really one big thing that they'll be trying to work on to navigate all of this for their students.
And another thing that we've looked at here in terms of internet access, if you're just considering people who don't have the internet, but it exists in their area. I know Comcast, through Internet Essentials, has offered 2 to 3 months of service for free right now, and that's something that Portage Public Schools, for example, have been utilizing to try and get internet into homes that don't have it. That is affordable high-speed internet, and that's specifically for low-income homes. But that's one avenue that they're taking to try and get that internet access. But Lindsay, the other issue here is not every home even has internet available to hook up to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so that's where those hotspots would come in, but that's also an area then where you're looking at data having to be loaded into those hotspots. And unfortunately, it's going to be a big obstacle for schools to try to navigate. I can tell you, with speaking with school leaders from around West Michigan, they're very committed to taking on this obstacle, while also recognizing that this is a huge undertaking for them. Even John Helmholt yesterday with GRPS saying that they're asking for grace. They're asking for, parents to be understanding and to be patient as they navigate this, because as much as they can have plans in place and be able to adapt and put curriculum online and try to get those students who are set up to learn online doing that right away, this is something that no district has had to navigate in order to try to make sure that all of their students have the equal opportunity to learn outside of the classroom. So it's certainly a huge undertaking, and it's something that these districts will have to navigate. I know some of the superintendents have been meeting regularly just to bounce ideas off of each other in order to try to, all get on the same page and figure out what best practices are and figure out what works. We know that teachers have been reaching out to students directly, trying to help bridge the gap in any way they can. We know that teachers are incredibly committed to their careers, and they're also trying to navigate this, and they're working with administration as well, trying to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to still learn the curriculum. For instance, in Kalamazoo, they've been printing out learning packets, assignments, and then giving those out to the families at their 24 meal sites, So that's one way that they've been trying to work around the issues with some families not having internet access, not having devices that would allow for them to access that curriculum online. So that's something I anticipate we'll start to see a lot more of as well, with districts relying on printing out those materials in their buildings and then getting them to families as quickly and as best as possible.
Just to catch everyone up on what's happening here, the governor signed an executive order this morning suspending K-12 in-person education for the rest of the semester, and has said that they are working on plans now for how to proceed, and that will look different from district to district. The governor is supposed to be giving a news conference right now. Is actually supposed to start more than 10 minutes ago to go over some of this information and what's in the executive order, as well as the state's response to this COVID-19 crisis in Michigan. So we're waiting for that to happen still. We have been reaching out to superintendents. We've talked with several in the West Michigan area in the last day. Even after this announcement came down in the last 30 minutes, we're hearing from superintendents basically that they're now trying to figure all of this out and communicate with their staff about how they plan to move forward. So we'll continue to get that information from our district leaders and let you know what the plans are in the various districts in West Michigan. Rick Albin has been following all of this news as well. Rick, what do you think the biggest challenge, aside from the technology aspect and who has access to internet, will be here for all of these districts as they process this information that just came down in the last 30 minutes?
Well, outside of technology, I think the biggest challenge is going to be not being in the environment with a professional instructor. I mean, let's not for a minute take for granted what our professional teaching staff bring to the classroom and how they facilitate our kids as they're learning. And so, I mean, I think that's a big component that's going to be missing. It's different when you're talking over a video chat and you're only doing it on a limited basis. And while parents, myself included, we'll do everything we can to help out. Let's face it, I'm not a professional teacher, and that wasn't what I studied for. And so I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, because particularly when you're talking about, I have elementary kids, and they have a real bond with their teachers, and so I think that helps the learning process. So I think that's going to be a significant challenge, but we also have to take into consideration that this is going to be one of numerous challenges. You know, education of our students will be a big challenge, and trying to figure that out for school districts will be a big challenge, just like it's going to be a big challenge for people who have been laid off, who may have jobs that aren't coming back. We know that there are various industries that are feeling the impact of this much worse than others. And so I think the list of challenges is long, and if we can approach them each as we have to deal with them, I think we can probably move through this. But as it pertains to education, I think there are a lot of layers here. But I think most importantly, we also know that our school districts have the curriculum. They know the information that they want to get out, and I have no doubt that in a relatively short time, but I think we need to give them some time, in a relatively short time, they'll be able to communicate that to the parents and students and let them start making some progress. And that education process is going to be for parents too, because a lot of that's going to fall on them, particularly those that are going to be at home. It's going to fall on them to make sure their kids follow through and continue with that education, Teresa.
A lot of these parents are working from home while now also trying to act as homeschool teachers or facilitators anyway. So it's certainly a challenge for a lot of people. Thanks, Rick, for some of that insight. We also have John Helmholt on the phone now, representative with Grand Rapids Public Schools. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning.
So now that we have this news, what is the process to move forward for Grand Rapids Public Schools?
Sure. First, we want to express our thanks and appreciation to Governor Whitmer. She has been very clear and decisive in her leadership. We anticipated that this was coming. They have been very thoughtful in getting advanced communications to the school districts. And as we've said in our previous communications with the media, with our staff and our parents and guardians, the district since day one, we've been planning on kind of the worst case scenario, that school could be shut down for the remainder of the year. And we've been working to develop comprehensive plans for distance learning, including how we account for technology and devices that may need to be distributed, as well as internet accessibility, which may also need to be distributed in the form of wireless hotspots or something else. And so this is a heavy lift, but we've been gearing up for this, and we just want to assure our parents and our students and staff that we're going to do everything possible to plan for this. But as another superintendent was interviewed recently, they said, we're going to fail at this. This is the first time in 150 years this district's ever embarked in something like this. And so we know there are going to be implementation challenges. There's going to be bumps along the way, but we're going to make those mid-course adjustments. We're going to do everything in our power to get the technology in the hands of those families that need it, that do not currently have the technology and the devices. We have thousands of Chromebooks that are in our schools right now. We have iPads that are used at the early elementary level. And so we will be communicating with staff and parents in the coming days and weeks about how we're going to roll all this out.
So John, as you talk about the technology piece, you have the Chromebooks, but as far as getting those hotspots, and in your conversations, in the district's conversations with the governor about this, how will the state help with the financial burden of getting this technology and the internet access out to all of those families? Has there been discussion about that?
Not extensively. That's something that, obviously we are hopeful that the state and ultimately the federal government will be able to free up funds to support this. Our budget for this rollout is about nearly $2 million to provide to secure the learning management systems that are needed for the distance learning, to distribute the Chromebooks, the iPads, the wireless hotspots. And so we're also fortunate that we have a number of business and philanthropic leaders who've reached out to the district that have been working side by side with us and have committed to helping raise private funds to support this as well. We have to assume that we're moving forward without any additional dollars. In fact, we're already being told that the state budget for next school year could be cut substantially due to the significant loss of sales tax revenue, which is 75% of our funding comes from the state sales tax. And so we're anticipating pretty substantial per pupil reduction for next school year. So we've got to do everything we can locally with the support of our philanthropic and corporate community to make those adjustments.
Another question, and this is regarding students with special needs. I've heard from a lot of parents wondering what districts are going to be doing to support those students who might have different needs that can't necessarily be met as well in a virtual or distance learning environment. What have the discussions around that been?
Yeah, all means all. Our plan that we're developing is to ensure that we're providing equitable teaching and learning for all students, inclusive of those students that may have a 504, an individualized education plan, or they may be English language learners. And the governor's executive order, she and the state are going to seek some waivers from the federal government to allow for flexibility. As you can imagine, in this distance learning plan, we're going to do everything we can to comply fully and as best we can, but I think the state is acknowledging and recognizing there may need to be a little bit of flexibility. And so, but again, our plan is all means all. That was the directive from the Michigan Department of Education that came out a few weeks ago. And so we've been building our plan based on that.
Okay, that is John Helmholt with Grand Rapids Public Schools on the phone with us. Thank you, John. Just to catch everyone up, we are waiting to hear from Governor Whitmer about the executive order she signed this morning suspending K-12 education face-to-face learning for the remainder of the school year. She is getting ready right now to talk about that in a news conference that was supposed to start at 10:30 this morning. So we'll continue to wait for that as we communicate with different district leaders around West Michigan, including with Godfrey Lee Public Schools. A representative joining me on the phone right now to talk about plans there. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what is the plan for Godfrey Lee? I know everyone is catching up to the information and trying to work this out, although this wasn't unexpected necessarily.
I think first and foremost, it's heartbreaking for our students, families, and staff that we're at this point, but everyone understands that it's a public health crisis and we all need to do our part. And so, our plan to this point has been supporting our families with food distribution. We have distributed over 40,000 meals since the closure started and making sure that our basic needs of our families are met. In the meantime, we've had staff and administrators working behind the scenes to create plans that we anticipate rolling out soon in the next day or two to our community to demonstrate our commitment to continued learning throughout the rest of the school year.
What are the biggest concerns you've heard from parents about how this is all going to move forward? I know the big question many have had is what is going to happen now that we have this directive from the governor that face-to-face learning is done for the rest of the semester. What have their other concerns been?
Well, we're in the relationships business, and so that connection that our students have with our staff and vice versa and with their families is going to have to look different. And so we want to make sure that we still maintain the social emotional well-being of our students as we go forward. But the concerns that we've had from parents, they want to make sure that their children don't miss out on meaningful learning this school year. They want them to be prepared for the next stages of their academic career. And in particular, our seniors, they are eager to continue their journey on to college, and they want to make sure that they have everything in place to be successful when they get there. And that's going to be critical to all of our district's plans. And throughout Kent ISD, we've been collaborating with each other to really work together so we can learn from each other and make sure that all students are well cared for.
This is Kevin Polston, the Godfrey Lee Superintendent. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know you have a lot to communicate to your other leaders in your district and the teachers in the district, so we appreciate your time.
All right, thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, Governor Whitmer is now starting her news conference to let us know exactly what's in her executive order and how she plans to move forward. She's just getting ready to start that news conference right now.